Hello, hello. I want to welcome all of you to another hour of some of the stuff that is hard to find except for here, right here on the Universal Consciousness Show. My name is Aage and I'm one of the hosts. I'm sitting here in the southwest of the United States. And my co-host Diana is over in Germany. Are you there, Diana?
I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, there we are. Okay. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today because we're going to cover some things that is not commonly talked about. And we have two wonderful guests with us. One is me and the other one is Diana. So anyway, we got that covered. We're going to talk about some of the things that people are wondering about these days. And something is brewing out there. Something big is about to happen. And what do you think? Do you want to start there, Diana, or where do you think we should start talking today?
Yes, I think you're right. And it seems as everyone is waiting for something big to happen. That is obvious. And the problem is they all want to know two things. What is it and when it will happen? What do you think?
Oh, yeah, that would make it easy, wouldn't it, if we just knew that? And this big thing that they've talked about it on a lot of the other shows. They talk even in the media. Newspapers are writing about they're expecting something to happen. And I'm wondering too. Yeah, it's something is about to happen, and it's going to be a big thing. But it involves predictions of the future, if we're going to say exactly what we would think it would be. In order to predict the future a little bit, it really would understand what the future is. That would help a lot. And yeah, I guess I also should say here that for those of you that is listening to on the radio right now, you could also go to YouTube and listen to this on live stream, because we will be showing some pictures and probably would be better off for you. Go to the YouTube channel on the Universal Consciousness Show, and you can watch it there also. And when we were talking about this big thing that just might happen, if we understand the universe we are living in, we can much easier understand what is happening in the universe and what is happening in our life. See, the universe as we see it may not be quite what it looks like. Quantum physics now, they have proven that we live in a mind-created universe. But what does that mean? Well, my mom always used to tell me decades ago that if there's a word you don't understand, read it backwards. Mind-created universe, that means universe created. So the universe is creating what we see. The mind creates what we see. So I have two analogies actually that will work pretty good for this. And one of them is that to explain the universe is, let's say that for the last 300 years or so, at least since Newton, we've been told that matter and energy cannot be created from nothing. And then again, we have some of the most brilliant people on the planet, like Stephen Hawking, rest his soul. He was saying that his equations on the blackboard using quantum physics show that this universe was created from nothing. If this universe was created from nothing, everything in it was created from nothing, and you are in this universe created from nothing. What are you? Boy, think about that one. Are we just nothing? Well, it appears as we are, but now we get another problem, and that is that we see stuff. So what is that? Well, maybe it is just mind-created thought. And if it is mind-created, that means that our mind, not necessarily the brain, but the mind created what we see and what we experience. So if that's the case, what are we seeing around us? What are we doing? What's happening here? If our mind is creating it, we have some control because we can control our mind to a certain point. Now let's let me prove that to you, that this is mind created. I have another analogy, and that is that I'm a hypnotist, and if I put you in a soft chair and talk to you for 10-15 minutes and told you that when you wake up, you will see an elephant standing next to you in the room, and I snap my finger and bring you out back from that hypnotic trance, if I did my job right, you would see that elephant standing next to your chair. You reach out and touch the skin of the elephant and it feels rough to the touch. You can hear him breathing. You can smell him even though he doesn't smell very good. And you have an elephant standing in your living room next to you, and you're on the second floor on an apartment building. How much sense does that make? But you could swear that elephant is there. There's only one problem. I can't see the elephant because the elephant is not there. Now, what happened to your real world right now? It totally went away, didn't it? Your mind created that elephant based on thoughts and suggestions given to you by me. So now, compare that to what you see around you every day. What's the difference? There is really no difference. Your mind created the elephant that looked very real to you. Your mind created the world around you that looks very real to you. So now when we understand that, what is about to happen? What are everybody expecting that will happen here? Well, we can see it in politics. There is things happening. They call it the event that's supposed to be happening. Well, the event is already happening. It has happened for a while. We see it in politics. We see it in nature. There is things happening that some of it shouldn't be happening. But it is. And now, if we look into the future a little bit, the future is based to a great extent, remember, it is mind created. So it is based on what is in our mind a lot and most predominant in our mind. So if we can control what we are thinking and what we are doing, then we can also control our future. This almost borders a little bit on, if we're good at it, it borders on almost on time travel. When it comes to predicting the future, I have predicted things in the past on the basis of what I've seen, and not all of it has happened. So there are times when I made myself look like a fool before I understand how the future works. The future works on the basis of what this mind behind it all is thinking and intending to happen. And about between 2 to 1 decade ago, I was hosting and producing a TV show in Tucson called, two of them actually. One of them was Access News. It was a newscast where I covered all of the things that no other media dared to touch. And also the Hidden Truth was another show that I was doing where I covered a lot of the negative stuff that is going on with government and the corruption in society and things like that. And that is where my mind was. And if nothing has changed in my mind until today, some of the things that I predicted most likely would have happened. But I changed my thinking so those things did not happen in the timeline that I created. So let's look at that for a second. Once we control our mind and what we think and what we are doing, and changing a direction from maybe a negative source of thinking towards a positive source of thinking, then we are creating a new timeline that may have better and good things in it. In 2003, BBC Television came over to the United States to create a TV documentary on time travel. And Michio Kaku and Green and a couple of other theoretical physicists were on there, and including myself. I demonstrated a little electronic time travel device that I've had some very strange experiences with on this TV documentary that was actually showed to about 1 billion people around the world. And some of the things I predicted on that show did not happen. Because back in 2003, my mind was in a very negative place, pointing out government corruption, all the negative stuff that is happening in society. So some of those things that I had seen happen did not happen because now I am in a different timeline. So now we can look back on what's going to happen again. It may depend on us to a certain degree. Which timeline are we going to be in going into the future? So if we say that, well, my mind up until today has been all in government cover-ups and wars and prediction of really negative stuff, if you stay there, you could very well have some real nasty things happening in your future, because that's where your mind is. If you today are on a different path, thinking about positive things, possibilities, what can be created in a good sense, and trying to do the right thing yourself and keep your mind positive, then you could have some very nice things happening in your future, and that is where I am right now. So for those of you that want to be in a timeline that is more positive, you can also go a little further in your predictions. You can design the future. And you can pick something that you really want to happen. Place that into the future. And by doing that, place it in a time-coded event like a Christmas party, New Year's party, where you have attained what you want and other people standing around, watching it, enjoying it with you, and toasting the completion of it. Then you go back and visit that thing every day. And when you do, you pave the road to it. You lay down attractor strings to it. And when you go back and forth to it, you are being drawn up that timeline to that thing in the future that you want to have happen. And you have already created in your mind, you placed it into the soup of creation outside of physical time and space, where it is sitting as potentials for creation. And once it is there, and you are attached to it, you're going to get there. if you keep doing what you can physically, do everything you can to make it happen, also to help make it happen. Now, we are talking about another thing that cannot be controlled, and that is the ascension from 4D into 5D.
But Aage, before we jump to another topic, let me ask you something about these timelines, because I always have a problem with this. So, because somebody told me that I could be a jumper, whatever that means. But if you mean that you, in 2003, you were in a timeline where everything was negative and you were focused on government corruption and all this stuff. We are living in this time together with the majority of people. They are focused on this thing. So that means that you can jump out of your timeline and then you come back. You know the famous Mandela effect.
Yes.
So there are people in this timeline that they were at that time in another timeline and they experienced the death of Mandela. Then they come back in this timeline where Mandela was alive. It's exactly like I experienced the death of Stephen Hawking a few years ago. I saw it in the news, and it was my daughter near me, and we saw it together. And then after a few days, I saw an interview with him alive. And now he is dead this year. Yeah. So that means that I was out of this timeline, and then I came back. So this is something I cannot understand, because if I can go out of this timeline, why do I come back? And where are the other ones? Do they come with me? Do they jump with me from timeline to timeline? I don't understand that, because I was never split from the people around me.
Yeah, it's a very common way to look at it, because we kind of assumes that everything outside of us is real. But where is it created? It goes back to us. Because we are one with everyone and everything in the universe, because we are just an individualized spark of life that comes from the universal consciousness. And we create everything in our environment through our mind, and the tool of the mind to create it is the brain that actually creates it in the physical. So everything we see is created by our mind. That means also other people are created by our mind. Mm. So now, this one is hard to wrap our heads around, but quantum physics back me up on this. Because when we create the other things, including things that is alive in our environment, it is there with us. But when we change our way of thinking, we also change our environment's way of appearance and thinking. Now, you and me are sitting here 7,000 miles away with two different people. I think different than you do on some of these things.
Yeah.
And you think different than me on many things. But we are one. But when I changed my way of thinking, it also altered everything in my environment, including you and some of your thinking, to be able to be still in my environment. Of course, I did not know you in 2003, but you were as potential in the soup of creation. It's just like the universe out there. We've taken pictures of a small portion of the universe around us, and Hubble have taken pictures of a lot more of it. But if, let me say it different, a lot of that universe that has been pictures of, does not exist until someone is observing it or thinking about it.
Yes, that's right.
So, same thing here. You may not have existed in my universe in 2003 until I created you. I think I found you on Facebook. And
no, I found you because I read your book.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is tough to wrap our heads around, that we create everything in our environment. And that is what's so important. We create our timeline. We create all the things that we do and see and experience. So whatever happens to us is our doing. So that's why it's so important to keep our mind and our thoughts positive. We must control our mind, otherwise things can go in the ditch.
But could it also be that we live in all the timelines simultaneously? So I exist in this one and in the other one and in multiple universes, and then I can jump from one to other. And then that's why I sometimes experience stuff from this timeline, and sometimes, like I experienced in the news, the death of Stephen Hawking, and then at that time a few years ago I experienced also his death in another timeline, and this I saw with my eyes, so nobody can. And there were many people that saw this in the news.
And then you had another one where the bus was missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gone to that bus for a year, every day at the same time, but one day.
Yes, every day at 7:15 I took the bus in the station to go to work, and then on that day it didn't come, and it wasn't announced on the electric panel, but I watched the metal panel where is no electric, so it was written on a metal with color, and it wasn't there also. So I stopped the first bus that was coming, and I asked the driver, where is my bus? And then he was very nervous, and he told me, hey lady, can't you see that this bus is never coming here? And you are wrong. And I said, well, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm taking this bus every morning. And he said, no, you are wrong. It never comes here. So I was very confused, and everybody was looking at me as if I were from another planet. And then I stayed there. Yeah, I stayed there, and I waited, and in another time, I don't know, 20 minutes or 40 minutes, my bus came and everything was normal. It was again on the panel, again on the metal panel. So I don't know. And in my workplace, nobody seems to notice a delay or a trouble in this bus. So
yeah, see, this, Diana, is what's called time slippage. There are times, and I'm going to ask the listeners here, have you ever found yourself running around looking for your car keys? And you could swear you put them on a desk somewhere, but they're not there. You're looking for it, and you can't find it. So you go get the spare key, and you go somewhere, and you come back, and by golly, now it's there.
Oh, yeah.
I know some people have had that happen. It is minor things that can happen in that time slippage. Everything on the surface looks the same, but their small things are the variances of what is happening. That is when you are in a different timeline that is very close to the one you were in, and many things are similar. I've had many of those things happen also. I have, and while I was looking for my car keys one time, I remember I put them in the freezer. And I looked for days. Well, I evidently put them there, but I do not remember doing it. So there is goofy stuff that happens. Now, there is some things happening when it concerns this big thing that could happen, and that is we are traveling through space in a big circle around the galaxy. Every 26,000 years, we are traveling through a region of space which has a kind of like a spike of energy coming out from the center of the galaxy. There's a black hole there that is surrounded by white light, and then there's the black hole in the middle. Now, when we are passing through this region of space with that spike of energy coming out there, everything in it, the good, bad, and the ugly, is being raised in vibration. Now, the bad and the ugly, that is being raised too, but it is fighting it. So we have more trouble. They create problems. They don't want the higher vibration because it is uncomfortable to them. So that's why we may have more conflicts, more disturbances, possibly more wars, because the dark side never rests. And then again, the good side, when it's traveling through this region of space, raises the vibration again, and we enjoy it. So we embrace it. And we are embracing it to the point where we leave this vibration that we were in behind. And we are ending up we are creating a different world for ourselves. That I've actually seen that world, and that it's almost empty. So we can walk into that and create that new world with the way we think and the way we act and conduct ourselves. And that is the new earth that some of the New Agers are talking about. Yes, there is one, and it is there. It is up to us to be able to enter that, just by the way we are thinking and conducting ourselves and act at the time when we are in this region of space, and we are at the edge of it now. We are moving into it fairly quickly. So in the next few years, we are going to be going into the depth of this energy coming out from the center of the galaxy. And that will make a big difference in our lives in many different ways. Before we make the shift to the new accelerated, ascended existence, there could be some problems. It is up to us to make sure that we do not bury ourselves in the understanding and the acceptance of all the negative stuff that is happening around us. We got to control our thoughts and our mind, keep our eye on that goal, and go to it. If we start burying ourselves in all the negativity, we will slip back, we lose some of that vibration, and we can get stuck here by the time we get through this region of space where we have, excuse me, this spike of energy coming out from the center of the galaxy. When we get through it, we will, if we are controlling our mind and staying on the positive, we will have a new existence. And we will leave all the garbage behind, and they will have their existence, and good riddance. That is fine with me. And there is things, I'm trying not to dwell too much of the negative things that I've seen. The only thing I will say is, don't live on the coastline. Get away from the coast, go inland at least a few hundred miles and up to a higher elevation possibly. You will be better off. But for right now, I guess we're down to the bottom of the hour here. So
Yep.
we are going to take a 3-minute break for the station to pay some bills. And then we will be back again. We will talk more about the Ascension a little bit. And also, maybe there's a difference between the past and the future that could be predicted. And we will talk more on the mysteries of life. So I'll talk to you soon. Stay here. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Ben Franklin said, if you do the same thing tomorrow as you did today, you're going to get the same tomorrow as you got today. Changing the world starts with you, and changing you starts with changing the way you think. Late Night in the Midlands can help. Listen to all of our shows at latenightinthemidlands.com, because things really do need to change.
You can listen to the LNM Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from LNMRadioNetwork.com or TalkStreamLive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
The LNM Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information, and subscribe today. Information on becoming an LNM subscriber can be found at the top of latenightinthemidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of latenightinthemidlands.com and help us help you.
To hide the truth once you know it makes you think that you are better than everyone else. It makes you into the type of person who says, "Ooh, I have a secret," but you're not ready to hear it yet. However, for $39.95, I'll let you in on the secret. You'll lead the people to the promised land for the cheap price of 3 easy payments of 1/3 of their soul apiece.
Hello. We are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and it's just Diana and me here today, and we were talking about the acceleration out of 3, or should we say 4D into 5D here, because 5D is where we're going, whether we like to or not, if we are positive people with a good outlook on the future. Now, towards the end of the show here, we're going to do a mastermind group experiment. This is one of the things that, if you do it, it will do amazing things for your life, because you can tap into other minds around the world. Sorry, flat earthers, around the world. And you're going to enjoy this one, because you're going to see what's happening. And also, I see in the chat room that we're talking about black holes, wondering if we are going into the black hole. No, we are not, because our location in the galaxy is about 3/4 way out from the center. And we are going around in a circle at that distance around the black hole in the middle. But for some reason, there is this spike coming out from the center that is a different frequency than the rest of the galaxy, so that we're passing through it. We are being raised in vibration. I don't know how long it's going to take it's a very narrow band. I don't know how long it will take, but it will probably be a few years, possibly. It's coming. There is nothing we can do to stop that one, because we are moving around the galaxy. So that's the answer to that one, I guess. Now, when it comes to our thinking and how to plan for the future, I'd like to go in a little bit on that. Because this is something that, most people, they plan more on their vacation than they plan their life. And that is totally misplaced. We should spend more planning our life than we do for a vacation. I haven't had a vacation for long. I have too much fun working, I guess, so maybe I should have one. But we can create the future before we have to live it. And some people do that in many different ways. One of them is prayer. And I think we probably have discovered that most prayers really go unanswered. Why is that? Well, we're not doing it right. First of all, we got to think of what is a prayer? And where does the request of what we want go? Think of it. We were never taught how to do this. And it's a prayer, and I got another word for it, and that is intended manifestation. We can manifest things for the future in much better ways than we can doing by a simple prayer. Because we got to remember, what we want goes out of the physical in form of thought into a higher vibratory existence where past, present, and future does not exist as we know it. So this mind-created universe that absorbs the thought of what we want, call it prayer or manifestation, either one will work, that is not understanding English, Danish, Chinese, Bulgarian. It does not understand those languages. There is a specific language that is understood better at the universal consciousness, and that is a language of emotion, vivid, colorful pictures, gratitude, and love. Once you start thinking and visualizing those things, then the universal consciousness understands what you're talking about, and it places it into the universal soup of creation where you can later on go and retrieve it. In fact, there is medical research that proves prayer works. And there's a book out there called, Larry Dossey is a doctor that wrote this book. Let's see, what's the book is called Healing Words and Prayer is Good Medicine. He took about 30 people with the same medical conditions, and they all had cancers with tumors. And they went and they created a prayer circle where they used the spiritual language of emotion, vivid, colorful pictures, love, and those things. And the tumors decreased 39% over a matter of a day or so. How can that be explained? Well, it's not the prayer itself. It is the visual images and the mind behind the prayer. Christians also use this thing called laying of hands. It's not the hands that is important. It's the mind behind the hands that put energy into the body to create healing. Ask any Reiki master about that. They are very effective at what they do when it comes to healing. See, you do not draw to you what you want. You draw to you what you are because of your actions and the way you think. And since we were never taught how to actually create our future in our mind before we have to live it, we don't do it. Once we start doing it, we're going to see some nice things happening. And that is one of the things that we're going to talk about towards the end of the show here in our mastermind group. We're going to create a mastermind group, and I'd love for you all to be part of it. We're going to make the announcements on that here fairly shortly. And this will come, so I would love to see you be part of it, because there is this concept, and that is that when two or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. So that is really powerful, because think of this. Let's say that you have, let's say there's 100,000 people listening to this show. If you multiply 100,000 by 100,000, what do you get? You really get 10 billion minds thinking about the same thing, visualizing the same thing, pointing their thought in one direction for some goal to happen in the future. And if we all concentrate on that, some amazing things can happen. And this is what we should do. We should do this mastermind group, which will be a form of prayer. Do it as a family. Let's say you got 3 or 4 or 5 people in a family. Get together, find out something that you want more than anything. Then there's a method to this. You condition your mind, you lower your brainwave pattern into the alpha range, and there's some things that we'll be explaining in the mastermind group. And also I explain that very well in my book. The book Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. In this book, I explain how to use your mind, which you were never taught how to use. And I give you tricks and methods to create out of seemingly nothing sometimes. So have a look at that. Go to my website, and I'll mention that too while I'm at it. It's www.universal-consciousness-show.com. That is www.universal-consciousness-show.com. That is the website for our radio show. And you can find my book on there and find other things.
Aage, if you allow me to intervene a tiny bit here, because the listener should know the funny story how I knew you. Because it's related to the story of your book. I found your book on Amazon, and I read it. And at the beginning, you wrote there that you have to read the book 3 times, and after that, your life will never be the same. So, of course, I didn't know you, and I didn't know at that time. I just listened to your voice sometimes in YouTube while I was working in the office. I didn't know who you are. But after I listened some of your YouTube interviews, then I searched for your book, and I find it, and I read it. And after I read it the second time, I contacted you, and you answered me the very next day, which is very amazing. And you told me that you would like that I will read the book for the 3rd time, because you wrote the book on 3 levels of consciousness, and every time when I read the book, I will understand something new. And as I begin to to read the book for the third time, I began to have some dialogue, some mental dialogues with you in my mind, because I didn't want to be ruthless and bother you with my question. And I slept with the book under my pillow. And yes, every night I took the book and I put it under my pillow. And after this experience, I created a permanent dialogue with you in my mind about the facts that you write in the book. And I had my own question, and I dwelled into all these things that I was researching at that time, about 10 years. And as I read your book, I found all my researches squeezed in this book. So I was so amazed about everything. I thought, oh my God, if I had that book at the beginning 10 years ago, I could save all these 10 years of researches and just jump to conclusions here. And I didn't even finish to read the book for the third time, as I was proposed to be your co-host in this radio show. So I don't think it's very usual that if you read a book, the author will call you just like that and ask you, hey, do you want to be my co-host in a radio show? No, this was the creation of my mind, because I was so connected with your mind. As I read your book, I was so connected with your mind and with the information inside, that how on earth you picked me.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I remember we talked about this and you kept popping up and, in my mind. And see, this is what happens. We are one at the spiritual level of existence. And when we are one, we are much more so to join minds and join thoughts. And you're going to find, after you start doing some of the practices in the book, you're going to find yourself become a lot more, first of all, spiritual, and for the second, psychic. There are some exercises that it will increase your psychic ability enormously. And the even astral travel, once you understand what the astral body is, you can work with it. But most people don't really understand what it is. Astral travel is fairly simple. I didn't say it was easy. It's simple to do once you understand it. So just a little practice, or a lot of practice. Actually, it took me a year of practice to be able to do it. But others, they catch on like duck to water. So it all depends. But there are stuff in there that will enhance your life. I think that's what I wanted to say. And we are getting pretty close to the time when I think we should start thinking about this mastermind group. Yes. We got to remember the mastermind is the universal mind. And we have an individualized spark that is attached to the universal mind, but it is a thought form. So when we join all those different thought forms out there into one unit, we are able to all draw on the power of that unit. And that's what we're doing. See, what we're talking about in the mastermind group is to direct our thoughts in one direction to something that we want to accomplish. And remember also, I mentioned that you could do it as a family. You can do it as a church group. You can do it as a community. Or you could do it as a nation, as we did in the United States before the elections the last time. Because there was a total shift of consciousness. The people were sick of the corruption that they had in the past. They wanted something different. Now, that doesn't mean we've gotten rid of the corruption yet, far from it, but there was a big change of direction, a new timeline for the country. So let's see if we can change the timeline for us. So if you are driving in your car or flying airplanes or doing or anything that you need your presence or mind with right now, turn this off. Don't even listen, because you may not be in the same presence of mind while you're doing it as you would be before or after. So just sit and relax for a little bit, look straight ahead, and just listen to my voice for a little bit. What we want to do is to relax the body and relax the mind into the alpha range of brainwave patterns. And that's why you shouldn't be doing this while you're driving cars. So now, just close your eyes and just think about what I'm saying. We have a lot of problems or challenges in our society. Let's do this one for a general purpose. We will create an environment in the people of influence and in government, so they will be more apt to help the people. We know love is the most powerful force in the universe. So let's think about that. Visualize the letters L-O-V-E. Think about Washington, D.C. See the congressional building with the dome on top of it. Tell the people in the Congress building, I love you. 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 Do the right thing for your people. Now we are large numbers of people joining our minds together and sending love to the people in Washington, D.C., in the Congress building. Tell them, I love you. 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 Do the right thing for us. I love you. We can open our eyes and end it here, because this is something that we can do by ourselves, because our thoughts of I love you goes outside of the physical into this environment we have created, which is not controlled by time and space as we know it. So if you do this tomorrow, you can join in with the mind power today, and that still goes towards the people at the Congress building. So time does not exist. Anytime you send it, you'll have the focus of everything in the outside of the physical soup of creation, going and directing it to the building and the people in it. This is also what you should do as a family. Or where two or more people, remember, where two or more people, I am among you, or something like that. It was somebody said 1780 years ago. So think of this. Find something that you want as a family. Draw pictures of it in your mind. Write it down. Join minds as a family. Do it as a church group to create things that you all need and want. And your life will change. And right now I see we are down to the end of the show. So I hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you that is listening, we appreciate you so much being there. Come back. And we will have more shows like this. And most of the times we have interesting guests on, so come and join us. And Diana, is there anything that we forgot? We need to get off the air pretty soon here. So.
No, so I think the only thing that is coming in my mind now is that duality only exists in your mind, and stillness is the language of God. All else is poor translation. That said the poet Rumi.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being with us, and we will all see you and hear you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.